The number one show right now everybody is talking about is Bridgerton Season 3, Part 1. And let's just say there has been some mixed reviews. Now, we've both seen the show. We're sisters and we love the show. We've seen Season 1 and Season 2, and we've been so hyped for Bridgerton Season 3 with the friends to lovers romance. Thought we'd go through some of the unpopular opinions and criticism that has been said of Bridgerton Season 3, Part 1. Here is a timestamp of what we'll be talking about. So let's get started. The first thing we have to talk about is Colin. So one of the things going around is that Colin is quite cringy this season. He's come back from France and he's this changed man. He's sleeping with prostitutes and having threesomes or something. He keeps lip smacking and he's just quite cringy throughout the whole thing. What is your take on that? Do you agree?
Look, I definitely know where people are coming from. There are definitely times where I was like, oh, Colin, why are you doing that? But in Colin's defense, I do think Colin, being a bit promiscuous after coming back from France is maybe supposed to be a bit of an ick, because that is not the Colin that we know is going to fall in love with Penelope. We want the original Colin that will fall in love with Penelope. So I think it's supposed to be a bit icky, especially when he does that like wink at the beginning to those girls. Like, I feel like it's supposed to be a bit like, ugh, Colin, why are you doing that?
But does he get better as the episodes go by? Does he get less cringy? I'm not sure about that. I think he's pretty cringy. You know how he's talking with his mates around the table and it like clicks that, oh, he doesn't want to be this playboy anymore. Like, I feel like it was such a rushed character development. I just think as a main guy and as a main character, Colin really lacked for me. And I think one of the things people were saying is that with like Anthony, they gave him flashbacks and gave him a little bit more kind of understanding of his character.
Yeah.
And maybe they should have done that with Colin to give a little bit more insight into why he feels like he needs to change up, or maybe a little bit more insight into Colin and Penelope's childhood friendship. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I guess with the Duke in the first season as well, we also had those flashbacks to his childhood. So this is the first season where we don't really get those flashbacks. So yeah, I definitely think that could play a role. Could there be flashbacks in part 2? So I still have a whole half of a season yet.
True. And that brings us to the next discussion point I think we need to talk about is Colin and Penelope's romance is just not as exciting and intriguing as the previous romances we've had. And I think what we love about Bridgerton is that so far it's kind of like an anthology series where it's a new kind of romance trope set in the regional era. And so Colin and Penelope were meant to be the friends to lovers, right? Whereas season 1 was like the fake dating.
Yeah.
Season 2 was like enemies to lovers. And now season 3 is friends to lovers. And the whole plot around this was that Colin was helping Penelope find a man and like learn how to flirt and stuff. And that was kind of like the gimmick.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like they really pulled that off. That is my opinion. I felt like they could have leaned into more of Colin helping Penelope hone in on her skills. I just felt like that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I have to agree. One, maybe 2 scenes was really helping her, and then it kind of disappears. And I do kind of feel like as we got further into the episodes, like I was kind of, when was the last time I've actually seen Colin and Penelope interact? Like, it's been a while, especially since these other 2 main characters were supposed to be falling in love. I guess there is a bit of a lack in these first 4 episodes of just like interaction between our 2 main characters compared to previous seasons.
Yeah, right. So there's less of them than previous seasons, right? Of like them together. And I think I saw in a YouTube video, I can't remember who was saying it now, but he was saying how each season had a really strong kind of presence as to who the main characters were, what the main love story was, whereas this one felt really lacking. And I happen to agree with that, because what's crazy is the moments when Colin and Penelope are together, I think the acting and the chemistry is so there. I think it's
Yeah.
there. And I wish they had Nicola show more of her comedy chops as
Yeah.
well, because I think she's funny. I think she's really
Yes.
funny in those moments where she's trying to flirt with guys.
Yeah.
Like she's got something about her that's really endearing to watch. And I
Yeah.
don't know if you've seen Dairy Girls.
I just watched it and I loved it.
So funny. And I felt like they should have leaned into that comedy aspect more with the friends
Yeah.
and lovers trope and showing maybe more of their banter and then seeing Colin slowly start to realize he's in love with her because he only starts to like kind of fall in love with her when she asks him to kiss her,
Yeah.
which I love that scene, by the way. I really liked that
Yeah,
scene.
yeah. Him falling in love with her through kind of their banter and stuff, it would have just really honed in more on that friends to lovers aspect.
I think they're trying to do the whole thing that he's going to find out she's Lady Whistledown. That's going to create some drama because he's married her. And then it's like, oh shit, she's Lady Whistledown. I can't back out now, but I've married her.
Yeah.
The next thing, which is more of a positive, I don't think this was a criticism, but I wanted to bring it up anyway, is Penelope's glow up. And let's just talk about Penelope as a character in general. I think she had a good character development arc. I loved her glow up and I loved how she took it upon herself to pick out a whole new wardrobe, to actually put herself out there and not give up. And she didn't really give up on love with Colin either. I think she always felt in her heart that what if, which is why her and Lord Dembling didn't work. I do still love Penelope.
Yes, I love Penelope. It's been so satisfying to see her glow up and kind of show people that she's still marriage material just because she has been such an underdog in these past 2 seasons. It's so great to see her kind of come into herself and she looks so beautiful this season.
Actually, the one thing we didn't talk about with the Colin and Penelope romance, which I think we should talk about actually, is I did like the ending cart scene. I thought that was pretty steamy.
Yeah, I liked it too, yeah.
And the looks they gave each other, I thought were really like, ooh, this is like, I was on the plane watching it. So I was fun. So I'm watching it on the plane like this, like, oh my god.
Everybody in the Bridgerton fandom is in consensus that we all love the carriage scene.
Okay, the next criticism we have of the show is there's too many subplots going on, which I think kind of brings into the fact that because there's so many subplots, it doesn't feel like there's a central romance story. And I feel like a lot of the subplots could have been removed to focus more on Penelope and Colin's developing romance.
Yeah.
One of the subplots, I can't even remember their names, but they like become wealthy and they have to go into high society. Why is that in there? Because that was so boring to watch. And I kid you not, after like the third episode or the second, I started skipping their scenes.
I rewatched season 2 like right before season 3 came out, and when they came on screen for season 2, I was really like, I don't remember these people. If I hadn't watched season 2 and had just gone to season 3, I would have not remembered who these characters were. I feel like I've seen a lot of people being like it's gonna parallel like something with the Featheringtons and their family and they're having an heir and whatnot. I feel like they just seem so out of place.
Well, speaking of the Featheringtons, I actually quite enjoyed the subplot of her trying to teach her girls how to get pregnant.
Yes.
I think that was a funny comedic timing. And I think the Featheringtons were important for Penelope's character development.
Yes, for sure.
As well. Let's talk about the Eloise and Cressida friendship, which is a subplot, but I think it's a needed subplot because I think it's a good juxtaposition for Eloise's relationship that she had with Penelope. And I think what's really interesting about Eloise and Cressida, they both go through a journey through their friendship. So Eloise teaches Cressida to be, not to bully people and put people down, but also Cressida kind of puts the foot on Eloise because Eloise is a little headstrong and very stubborn, and she has very vocal opinions that can hurt others' feelings. And I don't think Eloise, because Eloise and Penelope is a wallflower, and so Penelope would follow Eloise, would agree with anything Eloise said. But I really liked that subplot, and I really liked the development of Eloise.
It's really interesting to see that come from the perspective of like how Eloise's character development, because I think something that is the kind of thing with Eloise is that, yes, she is a woman and there's a lot of things you can't do in this era because she's a woman. She still is actually quite privileged being a Bridgerton. Her mum has been like, you have to marry right now. Like, she kind of has the privilege of being able to not marry if she wants to because she comes from a rich family, whereas Cressida, like, if she doesn't get married, her family's going to marry her off to this like old man. So I think it's very interesting to see that juxtaposition, and I think it'll be interesting to see how this affects Eloise going forward.
Got 3 more things I want to talk about in this video. Lord Debling, the romance triangle with Lord Debling. I actually liked Lord Debling. I thought he was a really interesting character, and the way the actor played him, I thought was very cool. He's very unproblematic. He's like a vegan vegetarian in the Bridgerton world, which I thought was quite funny, which I liked. But I thought they did very little with this character, and he was never a threat, I guess. Like, I thought he was going to be more of a threat, but he was kind of just there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I also liked Lord Debling because I feel like he was so unproblematic man. It kind of didn't, his personality didn't lend itself to like that much drama.
I think it would have been better to show Penelope maybe actually starting to fall for Lord Debling and then feeling like, who do I choose?
Yeah.
Whereas at the end of the day, there was no competition. It was like,
exactly.
She was always going to choose Colin, but I would have liked, you know, a bit more fight from Lord Debling or something.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, next thing, shall we talk about Kate and Anthony and how people upset that they had very little screen time and they basically disappeared for their second honeymoon. Look, I get it because it's not their season. They had some really cute moments and I appreciate those moments. But again, I think like you said, there were so many subplots anyway.
Yes.
Do we shoehorn in another subplot with Kate and Anthony? And I think also the actor who plays Anthony, he's like in the Wicked movie and he's like just been cast in Jurassic World. He's going places now.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know how they could have added another plotline. I do kind of see, maybe it kind of seems like in the second half from like the preview, they're back a little bit. How much they'll actually be back, who knows?
Oh, I haven't seen the preview for the second part.
Yeah, there's a little trailer.
Oh my gosh, okay, cool.
If they did still want, you know, some subplots, like I would have preferred them take out some of the subplots that we don't really like as much and replace it with like a Kate and Anthony subplot. But we'll see, I guess.
And then the last thing I just put on here quickly that I wanted to talk about is Francesca.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So she's got quite a little cute subplot. Again, there is a lot of subplots. I see what people are saying, but I feel like I really enjoyed Francesca's.
Yeah, I think Francesca's is a good subplot that we have. And I think it does, and what people are saying who have read the books, that like it's gonna...
Oh, it actually means something?
Yeah, like it's setting her up for her season eventually.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I really like her subtle romance because I think what's really interesting is Bridgerton and this, you know, the period romance drama is always focused on the words. The words are really powerful. And I liked kind of the 360 twist on with Francesca where it's like more is said in silence between them and the music between them. And I think that's really, really sweet.
Yeah, I really related to Francesca. I love it when like
you totally would.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. My favorite friendships, or like people I'm connected to, the people like you could be in a room and not be speaking, but it's not awkward because you're so close, you know? When they just sat and they weren't speaking. And everyone's like, what's going on? Or what the sibling that was like, oh, this is how like they're connecting. I was like her in that scene. I was like, I just don't get it.
Alrighty, that is all we have for today. Let us know in the comments below, did you enjoy part 1? I think overall, by the way, I'm just going to say I still enjoyed part 1. It was still enjoyable for us.
Extremely entertaining. I was still having a great time watching it. I still can't wait for the second part.
We are transforming book club one presentation at a time. We make ready-made creative guides for fun, unforgettable discussions that you can use within your book club. All you have to do is head to our website, browse our collection. Samantha, you've used one of the book club presentation guides. How was it?
It was really great. It was really fun. I think it was really nice to just have a bunch of discussion questions there for us. So we
our discussion never faltered or had any random pauses that we tried to think about what to do next, because we could just go to the next slide and the next question.
Make sure to check that out in the description below.